Okay, here we go with another 5 questions. This is questions 6 through 10 from a 20 question in 25-minute no calculator section. All right, first up we have an equation, and it's supposed to model the height of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age in years, but it's only good for ages 2 to 5. And so what we're looking at is an algebraic expression. It's a word problem. There's variables involved. We have to understand what the equation is saying, and then we have to evaluate it. Based on the model, they're asking us then, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? So you're thinking you have to evaluate the expression, but we have to understand what this equation is saying. So the height is equal to 3 times the age plus 28.6. And so the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year would be the 3. They don't want you to plug 3 in. 3 plugged in is a bait answer. I don't even see that answer actually. And so maybe 3 plugged in here, solve for A. Anyway, it is not meant for you to actually solve this equation. Read through the word problem and understand that it looks like a linear expression, and the rate of change, the estimated increase, would be like what the slope is. Okay? Trick question there. Don't let them fool you. Next up, some horrific expression which stands for the monthly payment needed to pay off a loan. Important expression. R is the interest rate, the percent annual interest, and it's over n months. And we want to and P represents the loan, how much the loan was. Read through all that, and ultimately they want us to solve for P. And so we have this word problem. We understand what the variables are, and they want us to solve for P. M is the monthly payment. And imagine basically if it was M equals A over B times P. It's not so simple. There's a large expression in the numerator, a large involved expression in the denominator, but those two guys are multiplied by P. And so to get P by itself, we multiply by the reciprocal times by B over A. Same concept. These B's would cancel, these A's would cancel, you get P all by itself. So we take the M and we multiply by the reciprocal. So the 1 plus R over 1200 to the N minus 1 on top of the R over 1200 times the 1 plus R over 1200 to the N. Letter B? Yeah. Number 8. In number 8, we have A over B equals 2. And we're asked, what is the value of 4B over A? So we have these variables. We want to evaluate this expression, 4B over A. Okay? Knowing that A over B is equal to 2. Okay? So there's many ways to do this. Here's one. If A over B is equal to 2, that means A is twice whatever B is. Multiply both sides by B. And then in this expression, if I replace A with twice B, I'd have 4B over 2B, and these B's would cancel, and I get a 2. Okay, there's another way that we could have done that. If A over B equals 2, that means that B over A is a half. The reciprocal, right? And so 4 times B over A is 4 times a half. Okay, great. Number 9. This is your classic system of equations. These have been interchanged to fool you. We're not going to be fooled by that. 3x plus 4y is negative 23. Negative x plus 2y is negative 19. We have options. We can go with the elimination method, where we add these equations together. Or we could go with the substitution method, where we take one of the variables in one of the equations and solve for it and then plug that into the other. I'm a big fan of the elimination method when possible. And so to get the elimination method to work, you want to get the two equations that have the same number but opposite signs. And so if I times the second equation by 3, leaving the first equation alone, this isn't the only way to do it, but it works well. You'll have a negative 3x, a positive 6y, and then 19 times 3. Remember now, you don't have a calculator, and so that's a 57. If you have to, don't be afraid to do this. Sometimes the mental math, trying to do it all in your head, gets so you run into trouble. So we get that right? Yep, times by 3, times by 3. Yeah, all right. So now it's our job to add the equations together. 3x plus 4y is a negative 23. Negative x plus 2y is a negative 19. So we're going to add these together. We get 10y and then 57. Oh, negative 57. Sorry about that. And so there we have negative 57. It was a negative 19 times the 3. It was a negative 19. So that gave us a negative 57. Okay, so that's 80 with a negative on it. And so divide by 10, and you get that y is negative 8. Now, you don't have to do the rest of the question knowing that y is negative 8. You could even check your answer with this. 3 times 3 plus 4 times negative 8. That's a 9 minus a 32. It's a negative 23, and you can check it with the other one too. But, you know, yeah, if there was another answer with a negative 8 as the choice, we would take that and we would just plug it back in. We have negative x plus 2 times that negative 8 is a negative 19, and so that's how we can get the fact that x is 3. We get negative x minus 16 is negative 19. Add the 16 over and get that negative x is negative 3. And then divide by negative 1 or multiply by negative 1 and to get the fact that x is 3. But we're fortunate that we had the answers matching there. No other answers match that. And this is a good one. You can check your work too. A negative 3 plus double the negative 8 is your negative 19. Check. Okay. All right, great. And number 10, we have an expression for a function. And we know that g of 4 is equal to 8. So g of x is ax squared plus 24. And this is information saying that when, this is us dealing with evaluating a function, knowing that when x is 4, y is equal to 8, or g of 4 equals 8. The equation is equal to 8 when x is equal to 4. And this would help us solve for what a is, because that's the only variable left. 8 is 16 times a plus the 24. We take away, not 16, we take away the 24 from both sides, giving us a negative 16. And then that tells us that a must be equal to a negative 1. Divide by the 16, and we get that a is a negative 1. A negative 16 on top of a 16 is a negative 1. And now that we know that a is negative 1, we can go back and rewrite the function with a being replaced by negative 1. You can either put the 1 there or just put the negative sign in front. That works out well. Then the question goes further and says, all right, now go tell me what g of negative 4 is. So put in a negative 4. And so we take a negative 4 and square it, take the opposite and add on 24. It's going to give us the same thing back out. It's going to give us an 8. I'll explain that in a second. So this here is a 16. The negative comes after, and then plus the 24. That gives us the 8. The function that we are looking at is called an even function. F of negative x is equal to f of x. If you're at 4 and you're at negative 4, it's a mirror image across the y-axis. You should get the same y value out. So we didn't have to go through all that work if we would have recognized it. Even functions, when you have a polynomial is even when the powers are all even, and there's, there could be a constant term too. And so, yeah, that's how that one works. All right.